Good evening, my name's Colin McLeod with NBN's Thursday Night News. Tonight, Newcastle's bus drivers to strike over a pay dispute. Students across the Hunter hoping that a new CPR training will save lives daily. And Newcastle Knights coach Adam O'Brien insists that his team can still make the finals if they beat the Raiders this weekend. But first tonight, Newcastle's bus services will grind to a halt on Monday after the union representing drivers announced a 24-hour strike. The rail, tram and bus unions said drivers will take industrial action from 2:01 a.m. on Monday before they run an indefinite ban on logging into bus consoles, which would stop Opal card readers from working, and a warning some viewers may find this story confronting. No bus services, including school routes, run by Colas Downers Newcastle Transport, will operate during the industrial action on Monday. Services are expected to resume at 5 a.m. on Tuesday. Drivers are calling for a 7% pay increase over 2 years, rather than 4 years, in line with rising costs of living pressure. The RTBU tram and bus division president Daniel Jaggers said enterprise agreement negotiations had returned to square one. He said a 7% increase over 2 years to help offset cost of living pressures is a fair ask from drivers who just want to earn a decent living wage. All this could be avoided if Colas Downer would budge from the original insufficient offer made to drivers, which would see their wages go backwards. The private operator solution was to then tell members they could earn more if they worked more. What an insult. Meanwhile, a Colas Downer spokesperson said on the union focus on discussions with us to resolve this agreement rather than take action which would affect thousands of commuters. There are people, including school students, which rely on Newcastle Transport bus services as their sole means of transport, who are unable to travel during strikes. It is disappointing our people are choosing to take industrial action, and we share our customers' frustration that our services will be disrupted. Meanwhile, bus drivers brought the city's public transport network to a halt earlier this month to a strike to push for better wages. More than 100 workers turned up to march in the street. Hunter students, workers and athletes will have access to free training in a new CPR technique thanks to a local family determined to prevent others losing a loved one to sudden cardiac arrest. Irish-born Siobhan Lavin Murphy, Tamara Bond and Associate Professor Brendan Boyle established the Jack Murphy Memorial Society in 2019 following the unexpected death and beloved son, brother and scooter star Jack, who was 14, on June 2nd, 2018. The society aims to bring together the Hunters Irish community, stage scooter events, and raise awareness about the funds to fight sudden cardiac arrest. Miss Lavin Murphy said fundraising before and at the Society's second annual dinner dance on Saturday helped collect a phenomenal more than $70,000, double their goal for the Hunter Medical Research Institute. It'll go towards expanding the Hunter Heart Safe CPR program, plus research to measure its success. Ambulance services across the Hunter have been swamped by the highest number of calls in 5 years, new data has shown. The latest Bureau of Health Information report shows New South Wales Ambulance had one of its busiest quarters on record between January and March 2022. The data shows that in the Hunter area, this was felt most acutely in Maitland, Port Stephens and Lake Macquarie West. The number of ambulance calls in Maitland rose by almost 20% compared to the same time last year, and response time for +1 emergencies, which paramedics aim to attend within 15 minutes, were the slowest since 2010 in Newcastle. The number of calls were up by 7.3% on the same time last year, the highest in 5 years, and the number of +1 emergencies attended within 15 minutes dropped below 50%. But in Port Stephens, the percentage of ambulance arriving to +1 emergencies within that 15-minute benchmark dropped to 28%, the lowest it has been since the BHI started recording the data in 2010. Response time have blown out from 13 minutes in 2010 to 19 minutes this year. It was similar in Lake Macquarie West, where calls were up by 12.4% and just 28.8% of ambulance arrivals met the benchmark for +1 emergencies. After the break in sport, the Knights, Adam O'Brien, hoping that his side can make it through to the finals to beat the Raiders this weekend.
In a world where everything appears to be built the same, comes a range of cars built with a difference. Built to be the ultimate in drivability and spaciousness. Cars that not only look better, but have the body armor that lasts. And every detail is checked to ensure they're as reliable as they are durable. What you see are the new Hyundais. And you thought we were just a small car company. Hyundai, take another look.
I'm going to buy that.
Into big business now, are we?
Nope, I'm quite happy with the small business I own, Louise.
Who are you banking with now, Bob?
Newcastle Permanent.
No, I know. I mean, your company banking.
Yeah, we're with the firm.
Didn't know they did business banking.
Well, I have done for quite some time now, Dad.
Oh, good move.
That's mine. Thank you.
Your business is in good hands with Newcastle Permanent.
They're our building society.
another look.
Despite the doom and gloom after Sunday's 42-6 hammering from Penrith, Knights coach Adam O'Brien insists his team can still make the finals and says it is his job to instill similar belief to his players. After 9 losses from their past 11 games, Newcastle are languishing into 12th position on the competition ladder and will probably need 8 wins from their remaining 11 fixtures to have any hopes of reaching the playoffs. Heading into Sunday's clash with Canberra in the nation's capital, the Knights are already 3 wins adrift of the top 9 teams. To qualify for the playoffs will require a miraculous from reversal similar to Parramatta's infamous resurrection in 2009, when after 13 games they were 14th after 4 wins and a draw, only to surge home and reach the grand final when they ultimately lost 23-16 to the Melbourne Storm outfit, who were then later stripped of the title for rorting the salary cap in 2010. Only the most staunch of diehards will give Newcastle any chance, but O'Brien is ready for a crack at Mission Impossible. O'Brien said that he's given up talking about the finals, but he hasn't given up on the Knights' belief that they can do it. And also he can still believe that the day that he can stop believing in that is that he's not the right person to be. And also, but if we just focus on wins and losses, we won't just get the stuff ingrained into our game that we win games. Also, if we just talk, if he just talk about making finals, we won't get Sunday right against the Raiders. While Newcastle's pedestrian attack and filmsy defence has been heavily criticised over the past 2 months, O'Brien admitted an even greater issue might be the team's collective lack of self-belief. The Knights will play the Raiders this Sunday and are hoping to beat them up at GIO Stadium to move back into the top 8 and are hoping to go through to the finals. Meanwhile, to soccer and in the northern New South Wales women, and of course Maitland and Adamstown will both be desperate for points when they face off in round 12 of the competition right up at Lake Macquarie's regional football facility on Saturday. Both teams have found themselves out of the top 4 after a string of poor results in recent weeks. The Magpies have slipped to 5th on 16 points after taking just 1 point, a 1-1 draw with Charlestown in round 11 in their past 4 outings. That has included back-to-back losses to Broadmeadow. Meanwhile, a look at the board, of course, Mid-Coast are up against Olympic, while Adamstown play against Maitland, and on Sunday, New Lambton are up against Broadmeadow, while Warners Bay are up against Missouri. Gary Van Egg to the A-League, and Gary Van Egmond brought Arthur Pappas to the Newcastle Jets a decade ago. Now he will be one of the head coach's assistants. The Jets confirmed on Wednesday that Van Egmond was back at the club he led to the 2008 A-League Championship. The 56-year-old will work alongside fellow assistant Arthur Dials and provide technical support to Jets women's coach Ash Wilson. It will be Van Egmond's 3rd stint with the Jets. He recruited Pappas in 2011 to take charge of the youth team. Pappas left after a year for a position in India, but the pair have remained close. After an initial 3-year period in charge, Van Egmond returned in 2011 after the sudden sacking of coach Branko Kalina. He departed in 2014 and has since worked with the Matildas, Young Socceroos, the Olyroos, and Western Sydney, where he was an assistant last season. Now, Van Egmond is back at the Newcastle Jets. Proving their doubters wrong, Socceroos veteran Matthew Leckie says World Cup qualification shows how underestimated Australian football is. The Socceroos qualified for fifth straight World Cup with a dramatic penalty shootout triumph over Peru in Tuesday's intercontinental playoff in Qatar. It means Leckie is now poised to play at a third World Cup, having been a part of Australia's 2014 and 2018 campaigns. Meanwhile, Furious All Whites coach Danny Hay believes his side were on the end of some atrocious officiating after New Zealand suffered a controversial 1-0 loss to Costa Rica in their World Cup playoff. Former Arsenal striker Joel Campbell's third-minute goal was enough to send the Central American nation to a third straight World Cup, as the All Whites twice fell on the wrong side of crucial VAR decisions at the Ahmed bin Ali Stadium in Qatar. To surfing, and of course, Mayweather's Philip Anderson progressed to the quarterfinals of the Cri Pro in Indonesia on Wednesday. Anderson was second in a round of 16 heat of the 5,000-point World Surf League qualifying series contest with a two-wave score of 8.66 points. Meanwhile, Japan's Sumomo Sato won the heat with 10 to 33 points. Meanwhile, her compatriot Mahina Mada 8 to 14 was third, and Australian Alessia Cooper third. Anderson had earlier won through her round of 32 heat. She faces fellow Australian Sophie McCulloch in the quarterfinals. Meanwhile, Amelie Burke, also from Merewether, was eliminated in the round of 32. Meanwhile, a third straight lay day was called for the WSL Championship Tour event in El Salvador due to some problematic weather. To rugby union, and Harry Johnson Holmes is a step closer to earning another Wallabies cap after the Newcastle raised prop was named in the Australia A squad to contest the Pacific Nations Cup in Fiji. The 25-year-old has been one of the front rowers in Super Rugby Pacific and a key part of the Waratahs' resurgence before suffering a grade 3 tear to the medial ligament in his right knee in May. Meanwhile, he and loose head Angus Bell helped transform the Tars scrum into a rock, and he also made an impact across the park. Meanwhile, the flame-haired tight head was sidelined for 6 weeks and made it back for the Waratahs' controversial quarter-final loss to the Chiefs last month. Still in rugby union, and the Hunter Rugby Union comes back. And also, because of that, Maitland coach Luke Cunningham knows a thing or two about playing halfback. Cunningham wore the number 9 in 185 first-grade games for the Blacks, many as captain, and represented Newcastle and New South Wales country under-20s. When the Blacks short of halfbacks last season, he looked outside the square. Meanwhile, Kobe Watini had played fly half throughout juniors, but Cunningham was confident the apprentice Carpenter had makings a halfback. And of course, the other games will also start this weekend. And of course, round 8 kicks off this Saturday with Maitland taking on the Southern Beaches, while Lake Macquarie are up against Merewether, while the Wanderers are up against Nelson Bay, and Hamilton takes on Singleton, while the University of Newcastle have the bye. Anyway, the weather for Newcastle and the Hunter is coming up after the break.
I'm going to buy that.
Into big business now, are we?
Nope. I'm quite happy with the small business I own, Louise.
Who are you banking with now, Bob?
Newcastle Permanent.
No, I mean your company banking.
Yeah, we're with the firm.
Didn't know they did business banking.
Well, they have done for quite some time now, Dad.
Oh, good move.
That's mine. Thank you.
Your business is in good hands with Newcastle Permanent.
They're our building society.
There are sports, and there are extreme sports. Just like there are compact four-wheel drives, and there's the Nissan X-Trail. An extreme all-mode four-wheel drive system, an extreme interior, and extreme power. The X-Trail. Only Nissan takes the compact four-wheel drive to the extreme.
To the weather now, and it was alright for Newcastle today, and it will certainly be alright for tomorrow. And of course, onto the charts, it was alright for various areas. Meanwhile, today it was 20 for Newcastle, and so too was the same for Wyong and Toronto. Meanwhile, there will be 8 to 19 for Newcastle, Wallsend, as well as for Wyong and also for Maitland. And of course, Raymond Terrace, Muswellbrook, Maitland and Singleton, as well as Cessnock, all had 19. And so too did Nelson Bay. Onto the waters, and of course it'll be sunny throughout Newcastle, but also there could be a lot of winds for the Hunter. There'll be coastal waters information with northwesterly up to 15 to 20 knots, turning westerly easterly in the morning. The high tide is at 9:55 a.m. and of course the low tide is at 3:40. And of course the low tide, and of course tomorrow the high tide is at 10:53 a.m. and the low one is at 4:15 p.m. And because of that, the sun's getting up at 6:59 and is setting at around about just almost 6 minutes to 4. And of course Newcastle will be okay, and it will be alright as well. So too will Stone in the Hunter Valley, and also Gosford in the Central Coast will be fine as well. Now, before we say goodnight, let's have a recap of our NBN News stories. And of course, Newcastle's bus services will go on strike on Monday after the union representative announced it over a pay dispute. And because of that, the rail, tram, and bus union said drivers would take industrial action from 1 minute past 2 on Monday morning. Meanwhile, an Irish-born Hunter family have established the Jack Murphy Memorial Society. It follows the death of their son, brother, and scooter star in 2018. And Knights coach Adam O'Brien is hoping that that Newcastle can make it through to the finals to beat the Raiders in the Knights must win. And that's it for the latest news from NBN. And don't forget, I'll be back tomorrow. And from all of us here for now, good night.